here we go again, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Combat and Cryptids. Here we go again with another one. And I just want to start this episode off by saying I appreciate everybody who has recently subscribed to the channel. I really do appreciate that. Like, I do all of this for fun, and it's just a little hobby of mine that I like to do. So, everyone who subscribes that is watching the channel and who likes the videos and likes the vibe and stuff like that. That's the only real reason why I did all this stuff, was just to kind of explain and just say my side of the story. There's a lot of craziness going on in the world, a lot of craziness. So I hope you guys enjoy this show, and appreciate you guys tuning in. I just wanted to start it off with that. So yeah, on that note, so there is a lot of crazy things going on in this world right now. And the biggest thing, and I guess there's two subjects that today's episode. I don't really know what I'm going to call this one. This one's just going to kind of be like a hodgepodge of UFOs and aliens and killings and murders and things just going on in like actual today's world and stuff like that. So the first thing that I wanted to bring up is, man, what is going on with these Chinese spy weather balloons? Like, what is going on with that? A lot of people are saying, and it's so hard to, I guess, to find your source for, like, hey, like this is believable and this isn't believable. So, if you're looking at 5 different websites or 5 different pages for this kind of stuff, like, it really is. Like, no one has a clear or definitive answer. Of course, the U.S. is saying, like, hey, it has to be China. But then if you look at the Chinese tabloids and all their news articles, they're saying it wasn't them. And then if you look at, like, and I'm just thinking, like, the big power name places and stuff like that. Like Russia, obviously they're saying it's nothing to do with them. So it really does blow my mind how no one really knows, like, how any of this is going down. And from the biggest from all the articles, it just seems like the last three UFOs or Chinese spy devices, whatever they want to call them. The biggest thing is no one really knows. And the last three, they started off the article with, the last three UFOs shot down likely weren't Chinese spy devices. That's what the U.S. says. And with that note, it's like, are you guys trying to, and don't get me wrong, like, I'm not saying like a hatred for the government or anything like that, or it's like a big conspiracy or whatever it is, but it just seems like no one has the facts on any of this stuff. So it's really hard to want to believe other people and what they think it is, or what, like, if it were aliens, and this is just this is just my opinion on this whole entire matter. If it was aliens and they're floating around on fucking hot air balloons to try and look at stuff, it really is it really isn't advanced, I guess, as we thought it was. And that really is a bummer, I guess. It's not a bummer, I guess, but you guys get what I'm saying. Like, our first idea of intelligent life, and they're floating over in hot air balloons that we had years ago and stuff. So it really just threw me off with that. And with the whole government and everything like that, with, everyone's always like, hey, Biden this and Biden this, or he doesn't know about this, or why did he let him crawl or float into our airspace for so long, and why didn't he do anything about this? You don't know what the hell's going on there. And I don't think it's the government side of it, because if you ever work for the government like that, and it's people like me, like, it's people with weirder stories and weirder theories about all this kind of stuff. Like, it's not, like, I don't know, if America today thinks that the government is like this sophisticated, like, hiding everything from us, when it's not. All the generals and all of the enlisted, everybody like that, they're all, they all had normal lives at one point, and regardless of their situation, it's not the smartest people in those types of situations. So, and it's hard to keep those things under wraps, I guess, because regardless of if you're a 4-star general, or if you're the lowest PFC in anything, word gets around. and people talk because because the biggest thing for it always is if you have a general or somebody of high standard who is in these kind of meetings and stuff, like whether they be top secret or not, or classified information and stuff like that, it really is hard to keep those kinds of things under wraps, because there's always, like, let me put it this way: there's never gonna be someone of high ranking, like officiating a meeting. So, and what I mean by that is you're not gonna have like a major or a lieutenant colonel or a general or whatever it is. They're not gonna be the ones fucking writing all this down. They're gonna have some lower, like butter bar lieutenant or a first lieutenant or a captain or whatever it is. He's gonna be the one doing it. And what do you think that guy was doing 2 years ago? That dude was partying at college, like, to study to be a cook, and now he's sitting here in all these damn meetings. So those kind of people talk about those things. So it's really hard, and that's probably the biggest thing. Or I guess, being in the military, it would be really hard to hide those things and be like, hey, like, these have to be intelligent life. It's not us. But there is some very interesting videos on this stuff. And everybody seems to have different stories and different ideas of what this whole situation is. So, like, there's this one video, I think it was like CNN or CBS or whatever. They played this video, and I'm gonna attach it into this video, as the opening scene for after my intro, and be like, get your guys' thoughts. I mean, I think it's like 4 minutes long, and then after that, then we'll kind of just kick off this. But I really would like, what is your guys' opinion on it? Is it, you think it's somebody trying to cover something up? Do you think it's do you think it's Chinese spy devices or whatever it is? I mean, if the Chinese want to do it, they could put it in. I opened up 4 things yesterday that were shipped here from Amazon, and everything was made in China. Like, it's all been made in China. So if they wanted to put something in anything, they could put it in fucking regular household items and find out what's going on. But I don't know. It just seemed odd how all of this is going on, because this all started, and I guess it didn't start, but it was around the same time. So there was a huge oil spill, or not oil spill. What the fuck am I talking about? There was a huge that train that exploded in Ohio. All right, that's about, I think it's about 4 hours from here. It's like on the border between Pennsylvania and Ohio right now, and I'm about 4 hours away from that. So I'm not. It's no threat to me. Obviously, that's what our governor said. So, but as soon as that happened, and all these chemicals and everything went in the air, it looked like a damn nuclear explosion. I think I got a picture of it, but it looked like a damn nuclear. I don't think I printed that one off. It looked like, no shit, like Hiroshima, like style issues, and it really just, I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, what is all this stuff? Like, it really did just throw me off. So, and I'm trying not to, I guess, I'm trying to put all this in my own words, I guess, is probably the easiest way to say it. I mean, some of it I can't, because obviously it's too in depth for how much everybody puts into it. But I mean, I really would like to know, what are your guys' opinions on it? I mean, what do you guys think as far as all of these Chinese spy devices or whatever's going on? Is it, and the weird part about it is our government had to be like, hey, like, this was not the U.S. I'm like, well, no shit. I hope it wasn't you guys, because I don't know if you guys were testing something or if you guys were trying to do something, but whatever it was, you guys failed at it. I don't know if you were trying to test like the U.S. air defenses, but all I'm saying is, if somebody sent one over from another country, we would be fucked, because you can't, these kind of, like, those things got far before, and they say like, oh no, we let them through. Like, I don't know how far. Like, you would be like, yeah, sure, just come on over with your balloons from another country, like dropping the Wuhan COVID-19 variant 48 or whatever it is, and I don't know. But I just thought that was really weird. So there is another thing. So after that, so barring that, so I was just seeing what you guys' opinion. That's like the real world stuff going on right now. That's in the news right now. So whatever you guys' opinion on it. I mean, I don't know what it is, and I can't say that it's like, hey, it's from another country, or is it something else? Because there is a really weird pattern that showed, like, as this thing was traveling at night, and it was going over the mountains. It wasn't even going over like a city or anything like that, but it's shooting down like green lasers that are like mapping out the area. It looks like, and it looks like just over like regular like mountain face, like rocks and stuff like that. So it was just really odd to see that, and to think that something that sophisticated is on that. To think that's and to have the U.S. just shoot it down and just they just shoot it down and let it hit the ground or in the ocean or whatever the hell they said, and then they can't find any of them. Like there's that's what they're saying. They're saying they can't find any of these whatever the recording devices they were, wherever they were at. They said that they couldn't find any of them, which I thought was completely bizarre, because you figure you would have somebody like tailing that thing. You know what I mean? Like if you threw a frisbee and you just fucking let it go and it just got lost. Like it just doesn't seem like it's just 2023. Maybe 40 years ago, yeah. But for right now, if this is something that they're trying to cover up or hide, like we don't give a fuck. Like what are we gonna do? Are we gonna go out and gather arms and go start shooting down spy devices? No. Like, but we just want to know. I mean, it's just like anything else. Like, you don't read the back of like a milk carton or the ingredients and stuff. I mean, some people do, but you don't read the back of those things and go like, oh my god, like I'm gonna stop doing this. No, you know there's already bad shit in it, so who cares? As long as it tastes good and you're living your best life, who cares? But I digress from that. But it was very interesting. So I'd like to hear what you guys think about it, or what do you guys think it actually is. So yeah. But the next thing, so I started going down this deep rabbit hole. I mean, and once you get on, and once you do like a Yahoo search or a Google search, and you get on like page like 9 or 10, man, you get into some weird shit. So one thing I did stumble upon this one. It was a conspiracy theorists have claimed the U.S. base is hidden in a mountain and is where aliens killed 60 U.S. troops in a secret war. Um, UFOologists are convinced that the remote hamlet of the Dulce, New Mexico is home to a 7-story military bunker that rivals Nevada's Area 51 for wild cover-up and claims about extraterrestrial life on Earth. Conspiracy theorists are convinced a huge multi-story base of Archuleta Mesa Mountain around which UFOs has been seen. Um, so basically what that means is they think that there's a spot that this place in Dulce, New Mexico, is basically like a 7-story like facility where aliens and humans are basically like interacting and trading secrets and us. And it is very interesting. Do I believe that? I mean, that'd be hard. Man, that's like some umbrella company, like Resident Evil type stuff. So that'd be a hard thing to find, to hide, I guess. Like it's like underneath Raccoon City, probably, or something like that. But that's what. So yeah, so that's what this first one. So a self-styled whistleblower, Philip Snyder, shows his left hand, which was missing fingers after it was shot off with a laser, after the engineer dug down into an alien base. Is An alien base out of Dulce is a small town with a population of just under 3,000, and then this was the weird part, the Apache Reservation tribal headquarters, but is also home to what bonkers conspiracy theorists say is a huge multi-story base in Archuleta Mesa Mountain, where humans have teamed up with aliens after first fighting them for decades. Stories first surfaced about the alien activity in the mid-1970s. You see, it's always this fucking time frame, 1950s, 1970s. Why is it always this time frame? Was it everybody just like, hey, let's just make a bunch of shit up? Or is this when all of this stuff really was going on? So one of these was reported by New Mexico State Trooper Gabriel Valdez, who said he was a UFO. He saw a UFO before finding a series of disturbing cattle mutilations. The officer claimed inside the dead cow he found what he claimed to be a hybrid that looked like a human, a monkey, and a frog. All right. Following this in 1979, it is alleged workers digging a military bunker accidentally discovered aliens living in caves, which triggered a huge battle that killed scores of U.S. troops, and the conspiracy theorists behind the far-fetched tale even claimed to have had the battle scars to prove it, proudly showing them off the missing fingers on his left hand, which he claimed had been blasted off by a laser gun. Self-styled whistleblower Philip Schneider was working on the construction of a massive underground Cold War base near Dulce when he claimed he and his engineering team broke through an ancient cavern system where gray, quotations, extraterrestrials that set up base. Snyder also said he was confronted by 7-foot-tall creatures which stunk like burning rubbish, which prompted him to draw his sidearm he happened to be carrying. I don't know why they put he happened to be carrying. Opening fire, he claimed to have killed 2 before being hit with some kind of plasma weapon. He survived but claimed he lost several fingers. Meanwhile, the military immediately called in special forces. A huge battle ensued. 60 people and numerous aliens were said to have perished in the firefight. Despite his claims, however, there have never been any definitive proof of his statements yet. Snyder would regularly appear at UFO conventions in the 90s when he first went public. He died shortly afterwards in 1996 and was officially deemed a suicide, although many of his followers believe he was actually bumped off for blowing the whistle. According to this conspiracy theorist, Gil Carlson, various reports claim to indicate the existence of 7-story underground base as illustrated in the graph below. Now this is what, how did someone come up with this? How did someone come up with, look at that thing. So the first one is the security and communications. Human staff, it gets worse as it goes down. Human staff housing, executives in labs, mind control experiments, alien housing, genetic experience, and cryogenic storage. And it's like a massive elevator. So it had like the beam of light, I don't know how you would, I don't know. And it had an underground shuttle to Los Alamos. And then on the ground level, there was just it shows like agricultural premises and stuff like that. I don't know how you could make that. Who would on Earth, who would make those things up? That's just kind of weird. But that I thought was very shocking. So Phil Snyder insisted until his mysterious death that he was telling the truth. The Greys are one of the most popular types of alien features in UFO lore. So the Greys, that's just referring to one species of aliens. If you want to, you can search how many, which don't go too deep into this, but you can search how many different species of, I think it's like 7 or 8, I think that have been confirmed that the U.S. is saying hey, we've seen these styles, and some of them are kind of off the wall. There's this whole reptilian alien race that just freaks people out and shit like that, and then there's ones that take on people's forms and stuff like that to make it look so they can blend in and stuff. But if you want to, you can look that up, and that's pretty fucking creepy. So the Greys are one of the most popular types of alien features in UFO lore, known for their skinny bodies, bulbous eyes, pale skin, and large craniums. It is these aliens which allegedly crashed during the infamous Roswell incidents in 1947. Schneider later said, "There is a war under the crust of the earth and has been going on since that time." Snyder's alleged 1,477 underground bases, called deep underground military bases, or, get this, DUMBs, have been set up to conduct the war across the world, costing $17 billion each, all funded by a secret black budget. But Snyder said that some of the aliens have made peace and have collaborated with Earthlings. With the base he helped build containing a lab where horrible experimentations were carried out on humans. Some of this shit. So Snyder gave an extensive lecture on the topic. I wish I could find this, but you can't not find this. Spinning a vast web of theories about the U.S. government's black projects. He was found dead in Oregon in 1996 in an apparent suicide, although he was always told his family if he was found dead, he never killed himself. This has led conspiracy theories to question whether he was killed for blowing the whistle. Another key player in the Dolce-based conspiracy theory is a man named Dr. Paul Benowitz. He reportedly became convinced State Trooper Valdez reports of cattle mutilations around the area were the result of alien carrying out experiments. He then allegedly began picking up intercepted electrical signals, allegedly intercepted in Dolce, he believed were emanating from deep below. God, Jesus Christ. His claims were published in the infamous tabloid from the Weekly World News in 1988. Claims that aliens were carrying out genetic experiments on human guinea pigs. UFOs have also been cited for years in that area, with local people photographing. And stories of deep, sprawling underground bases across the U.S. are a popular linchpin of conspiracy theories, most recently popping up in the wide-ranging mythology of Quanon. But none of these claims have ever been given concrete evidence, are widely dismissed as false. Jesus Christ. So I think this one went on to this one. But yeah, so that was the one. I mean, 8 pages in on Google or Yahoo, I forget which one it was. But once you get into 8 pages of that stuff, man, you find some weird shit. You really do. And so I don't know. It's just, I guess for that one, I mean, aliens, there has to be some other form of life. You can't just think like, hey, like of everything. I mean, if you stared at the stars, man, like at night, you're sitting at a campfire and stuff like that. It just goes on, and there's no way that we can be the only life form out there. There's no way. Whether we be, I would hate to think that we're the most advanced. I mean, I am sitting here talking to you through a microphone on a camera with headphones. I mean, I guess I don't know what your level of advancement is. Um, but I would hate to think that we are the highest form of life in this universe, galaxy, whatever you want to call it. But it would just, I mean, I guess there's too many reports. You think about like all these, like these guys right here, like all the Bigfoot stories or sightings or anything like that. Like there's a lot of those, but people are less inclined, I guess, to talk about this sort of thing than they are about aliens. Like you bring up aliens to anybody, like I talk to probably 10 people a day, like about these kinds of things, and everyone 100% that I talk to have all been like, "There's no way we can be the only life form. There's no way that all of these reports and everything cannot be real." So it's a hard thing to be like, "Hey, like this is," so I can't say like I've never seen any of it or never been a part of anything like alien or extraterrestrial or anything like that. But it's a hard, you can't dismiss it, because if I can't believe in that, but I can believe in like Bigfoot and stuff like that, like that's, I feel like that's just more hypocritical than anything. So do I believe that there's something? Oh yeah, of course. Like there would have to be. Um, there's a lot of stuff up here in Ohio, and if you search long enough, man, you can find a lot of stuff around this area. And there's a lot of there's a lot of trails and weird stuff up here, and you got the lake, and it always seems like most of the alien sightings or ET it's like sightings that are around here are all around the lake, and it's a weird subject to talk to you about, especially people who have lived here like their entire life and stuff like that. They don't believe in Bigfoot 110%, but they believe in aliens because people are out in the woods. They sit out on the lake. They go fishing and stuff like that. And to go your entire life and not see something like that, like to be born and still live around here is very unheard of. Like everyone that I've met and talked to around here, they always have some weird story. And you would hope and think that it's true. I mean, most of these people are pretty credible. I don't know why they would like what they were like waiting for that one for me to like bring it up, and then they're like, all right, let me just make this up. No, I mean most people for the most part would say, hey, like this is what I saw and this is what I thought was going on. So it's a pretty cool subject, and God, it would be something nice to see, like an actual, not like a fucking, oh, it looks like a star and then it moves a little bit, it's a plane, like that kind of stuff. Like we always, me, my wife, and the neighbors who are also weirdos, we sit outside and we stare it up in the sky, especially when it's nice and we just got a fire going, you're just drinking and stuff like that, and you stare up at the sky and you see all kinds of lights moving and stuff like that. It just makes you wonder, like, man, can we be the only ones? I hope not. But a lot of them aren't friendly though, man. And to hear a lot of these reports, a lot of people's animals get killed. Like people get abducted and they get experimented on and stuff like that. Then they get brought out and put back like nothing happened. And some of them, and some stories, it happens multiple times. These people get abducted, or they think that they are, whether they're dreaming or not, or whatever it is. Um, a lot of these people are always talking about these things, and it's just, man, you got some fucking wicked dreams if you're thinking that people are taking you up in like a spaceship and zipping you around the galaxy and then bringing you back like you're like a Uber or like your first date or something like that. So, but it really is interesting. I mean, when you do the research, I mean, there's thousands of documentaries, there's thousands of different things you can look up to find on this about this particular subject, and it seems more commonplace now that you can talk about these things like and my dad himself, like he's always from day one when he used to work as he was like a supervisor in like orange groves in Florida and stuff. He would always talk about these weird ass, because he was there, he was on night shift, so he would always talk about these weird sightings and stuff that he would see out there. You see like triangle lights like floating around, and hovering up about 200 feet, stuff like that. So it was always very fascinating to hear those things. I mean, and it didn't happen like he wasn't seeing aliens like every night. Because then you think like, all right, Dad, maybe it was a reflection. But it was maybe like once or twice or three times he saw it. So, but each time, like it felt like he relived it when he told me that story. It felt like he was right there, and it seemed like it wasn't a subject that he was comfortable with talking about, because especially now, like I mean, he talks about like what he sees on the news and stuff like that, but as far as those experiences, he won't talk about them. Partly for the reason because he's the only one at his house now with dogs, and in Florida, all of his dogs are outside. So any kind of noise those dogs hear, they're always barking and stuff like that. And it always makes you wonder. I mean, it's dark as fuck out there. There's always some weird stuff out there, man. And I think if you go looking for things, or if you go trying to find these things, or you're trying to like, hey, come talk to me, come out, man. Sometimes you think it might be this cool and fine and dandy, cool people, but in all reality, you're probably gonna get some bad shit. And it's the things like once you open that box, it's hard to put those things back in there and go back to like, hey, like, no, I don't want to deal with this. What's too fucking late then, man? So sometimes it's better to always think and like envy those things, but you never want to go out and look for those things or try and put yourself in those positions to be like, oh, I want to see aliens tonight. Because chances are you're probably not going to see that. You're going to see something fucking far worse, and it's going to either kill you or take you off somewhere, and just it's never anything good. There's enough stories about that, about people just trying to look for shit and they end up finding 10 times worse kind of things. But so the last thing I'm gonna talk. So those are some quick ones right there. I mean, I guess they weren't quick. That was almost 30 minutes to talk about that. But so I read about this place, um, and it's the mysterious valley of the headless corpses. Um, Canada. I mean, Canada. I've never been to Canada, and there's a lot of weird shit that happens up there, and there's a lot of snow all the time too. Like you think it snows bad in Ohio, it snows a lot up there. But so the Canada is a land full of vast natural beauty and thriving, unspoiled wilderness. Much of the wild landscapes here is a world full of nature wonders that have managed to remain pristine and nearly untouched by human beings. With mountain valleys, forests, swaths, overland that remain for most parts unexplored. Most of the parts are unexplored. That's already scary enough for me right there. Like I'm not going to this fucking place. That's for damn sure. Um, from these, the more bizarre mysteries from the Canadian wilderness come from the Nahanni National Park, a place known as ominously as the Valley of the Headless Men. This name is merely a spooky nickname for a remote, mysterious land, for the area is long known for having people disappear only to turn up without their heads. The Nahanni National Park is part of the Mackenzie Mountain region, located in the Dinshaw region of the Northwest Territories, Canada, approximately 311 miles west of Yellowknife. Nahanni is from the language of the indigenous Dini people that have inhabited the region for millennia. It means the people over there, in reference to a tribe mountain dwelling people known as the Naha, who were once known to raid lowland settlements before mysteriously vanishing. The roughly 11,000 square mile park is designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site and is undeniably full of breathtaking natural wonders and beauty. The park is surrounded by majestic peaks, and dotted with geysers, sinkholes, deep canyons, caves, garages, and pristine forests. With these stunning, all right, that's enough of that. All right, we get it. It's a beautiful place. Cool. So the Nahanni Valley has been steeped in folklore and mystery since it was first inhabited around 9 to 10,000 years ago. Many tribes were afraid to settle within this region as they believed it to be evil, a haunted place inhabited by various spirits, specters, and devils. Those who did come here, such as native Dini people, told of the mysterious creatures lurking in the vast forest, and were plagued by the enigmatic, aggressive, and violent Naha tribe of the mountains. The tribe was said to consist of fierce warriors who wore masks and armor adorned with frightening imagery and were known to brutally decapitate their victims. Warriors of the Naha tribe were said to be larger than normal men and to wield strange and powerful weapons that no one had ever seen before. The fearsome Naha tribe itself has become one of the area's many mysteries, as the whole tribe is said to have suddenly, inexplicably disappeared from the face of the earth and has never been um, ascertained just what happened to them. They have seemingly just vanished without a trace. When European fur traders first came to the valley in 18th century, they were impressed by the legends and beauties of the valley. Word quickly spread around the far-flung wilderness as more European settlers found their way to the valley. It was soon seen to be a potential path to riches, as many explorers believed it to possess vast reserve of unstaped gold. Subsequently, the region saw the influx of miners looking to either find gold in the South Nahini River basin or attempting to pass through a way to the gold fields of the Yukon during the Klondike Gold Rush. So that's where that whole what's that show called? Where the people dig for fucking gold. Gold Rush. That's what it is. Duh. Gold Rush. But I don't know if that tribe was up there and they just seemingly just disappeared. Oh, I guess. And they just all just. Oh my god. And they all just seemingly disappear. Probably, and I guess maybe the hard part about that is when you first come there at that point to like settle down and do and look at these kinds of things, you don't know the history. You don't know what's been going on and stuff like that. So, but the Klondike Gold Rush, although Nahini Valley actually produced little actual gold, legends nevertheless quickly formed of the valley holding large stores of lost gold waiting to be found. Some stories told of miners spotting large nuggets as gold or gold as big as grapes, and huge veins of unstable gold were said to be hidden away in the wilderness here. The stories fueled gold fever, and miners understood the lack of success up to that point. Continued to clamor to this remote and rugged land to try their hand at finding it. It was during this era of miners seeking the fortunes among the rugged terrain of the Hini then the valley's more insidious and legend began to emerge, particularly in a part of the park called the 200-Mile Gorge in 1908. Brothers Willie and Frank McLeod came prospecting in the valley just as many as the others had done before. The two packed up their gear, headed out into the wilderness, and never returned. After a year had passed, it was presumed that the brothers had succumbed to the elements or another of countless perils in the area had to offer, such as sinkholes, jagged gorges, and wild animals. Some rumors suggested that the two had succumbed into finding one of the mythical veins of gold dot the valley and had made off with their fortune without telling anyone. Then, as suddenly as they had vanished, the two men were found dead along the river. Their bodies had been decapitated, and their heads were nowhere to be found. A spooky story, to be sure, but it would be an isolated case, nor the last victims the valley would claim. In 1917, a Swiss prospector by the name of Martin made his way to the Hini and tried his hand at finding gold. At first, Jorgensen seemed to have settled well in the valley. He built a cabin, ran a small mining operation, was generously well known by the settlers in the area. When Jorgensen's cabin mysteriously burned down to the ground, the prospector's skeleton was found in the ashes without its head. And a search of the charred remains of the cabin found no traces of the skull. In 1945, a miner from Ontario was found dead in his sleeping bag without his head. Around the same time, a trapper named Jesus Christ. And these are all just, separate, different people. One guy who stayed there. Two brothers that went in. Every single one of them. At some point, you guys got to be fuck, share a story. Put a wanted poster up or something. Jesus Christ. In 1945, a miner from Ontario was found dead in his sleeping bag. I already read that part. A trapper named John O'Brien was found frozen to death in a nearby wilderness with his hands clutching a packet of matches in a death grip right next to a campfire pit that showed evidence of having a fire going. Those who had stumbled across the corpse described having the feeling that the unfortunate trapper had been flash frozen within seconds. These mysterious deaths are not the only oddities the valley holds. In addition, the mysterious beheadings, a good many others simply went missing without a trace, and it is thought that around 44 people had vanished under mysterious circumstances in the valley in 1969. Other phenomena have been reported from there as well. Mysterious lights and UFOs have long been sighted in the valley, as well as other unusual area phenomenons. I hate that fucking word. The area is also known for its cryptids, as it's a hotspot for Bigfoot activity, and it's believed by some to hold a remnant population of a type of bear-like carnivore called the bear dog, which was thought to have gone extinct in the Pidocine epoch. In addition to the strangeness, a bizarre find was made in an ice cave called Grota Valeri, where the ancient skeletons of over 100 sheep were found, apparently have starved to death in around 2500 BC. The grim find has earned his cave the nickname of the Gallery of Lost Sheep. Jesus Christ, dude. Get people disappearing everywhere. I don't know. I don't know about that one. I don't know. So yeah. So you have this fucking place there, and basically everybody just starts fucking getting their heads chopped off. Everybody starts dying and all this stuff. And yeah, to this day it is not known who or what is responsible for the beheadings and disappearance in the Nahanni Valley, but their legacy certainly remains in the menacing place named through the valley, such as Dead Men Valley, Headless Creek, Headless Range, and Funeral Range. Theories abound on what could be the culprit behind the killings, encompassing everything from rational to the outlandish. Some say the valley is cursed, just as the native people of the region had always believed, and that some evil, supernatural forces to be blamed. Others think that the deaths were a result of ghosts on the mountain Naha warriors, risen from the dead to drive away the white man, and their penchant for beheadings firmly intact. Some of these fringe theories include mentioning of a secret entrance to the hollow earth somewhere in the valley, or the idea that the area lies along a thin spot in a very well veil that separates different dimensions. More rational theories point out the attack being carried out by hostile native tribes or rivalries between miners scrambling to find the mythical stories of unfound gold. The disappearance could be the result of any number of perils to be found, but the wilderness here, after all, this is an inhospitable place of extreme cold filled with unexpected caves, gullies, jagged rocks, and ravenous beasts such as grizzly bears for all the ideas offered. In the end, no one really knows what decapitated these bodies or why, and it's still unknown as to what happened to the people who disappeared. It's hard to say what lies behind the mysteries. The area is forbidding and remote that very few people other than the adventurous rafters ever set foot here. Despite the status at National Park Nahanni Valley remains for the most part unexplored, and there's a very large portions that have never been properly surveyed. The only geological surveys ever done were done from the air, and the vast majority of the wilderness here remains an enigma. The few efforts to explore the area of any kind depth have turned up vast. Unknown cavern system, caves, and huge warrens of underground hot springs and vents previously not known to exist. Some believe that the last world full of new species lies here. What other mysteries and oddities does the Nahanni Valley hold? Is there something malevolent hiding out there, rugged wilderness that could be having something to do with the violent and sinister past? Until more investigation is done, it will continue to remain a perplexing and very creepy mystery. So yeah. So basically all I got out of that is ain't nobody fucking exploring that, and ain't nobody gonna have a chance to either, because yeah, that place it just seems like it's too big for anybody to even explore it. And where I got this article too, just FYI, was the Mysterious Universe is where I got it, and Brent Swainser is the one who wrote that article. But yeah, I mean, just from that article alone, like it just makes it seem like that place is like inhospitable. Like you can't go there, you can't do anything, especially with the amount of animals and the amount of like of the area and the region is unexplored. Like it'd be hard to what the fuck. It'd be hard to even go in there. So you couldn't even. And Jesus Christ, like I don't even know if I could imagine being like somebody who's like, hey, like a lot of people when they get out of school and they want to try acting and they go to California, and they get there and maybe it doesn't work out for them, or they're so happy and stoked to do this, and come to find out there was like 4 people went missing in the area before they moved there, or 5 people got beheaded before they moved there. and you didn't know about it, and you were just there thinking it was all happy hunky dory place to just start your career. I mean, that's kind of the same. Like that's 2020 version of it. But these people went there for those ideas and those prospect ideas to be like, hey, like I'm trying to get rich and find some gold. And a lot of them, man, I mean, for them, I mean, I guess it's hard to see that. So if it was like 44 people missing, but we'll say 50,000 people went there, I mean, I guess that's kind of good odds, I guess, if you're looking at the overall scheme of it. But it really makes you think like of those 44 people that have either disappeared or showed back up without a head or were just outright murdered or disappeared. Like it makes you wonder like did they just go missing like in a weird part of the wilderness that no one had explored yet and that's where they all went? Or is something killing them out there? Is it like spiritual, demonic, or are there aliens or Bigfoot in this area? And it just makes you think like, hey, and the bad part of that is when you do like aerial like shots of these things and like places and you really go and look at these areas, like a photo doesn't do it justice when you're flying above it at 2,000 feet. But when you get down on the ground and those trees are tall and no one can see you from the ground, like that's, I mean, you can get so much cover from that. Like, so if there was, you know, if there was like some indigenous thing in there that was killing people, whether it be a giant grizzly bear or something like that, then it would be hard to see it and it'd be hard to detect it because no one, like that terrain is what they're already built for and made for. When if it's like a Bigfoot family or like Dogman family or natives that are fucking way bigger than you, obviously, like if they're from there and everyone just disappeared, I mean, it's like the first original people who were there and there were natives to that place. Or I guess not natives, but they moved there and they were able to live in there and stuff. And then all of a sudden they just disappear. I mean, these guys are, if they're warriors and stuff like that, you think they should be able to take care of those kinds of situations or be ready for it. But if it's not something that they're not prepared for or something that's too strong, then it just fucking wipes them all out and then takes them to some different area. And then that leaves wherever they were just fast. And in those kind of areas, it doesn't take long for overgrowth and vegetation to take over those things. And basically, it won't even look like a civilization up to that point until more people come and exploring and they start tearing stuff down and they find like, oh shit, like there was like a temple or like houses and stuff here. Yeah, but that's 400 years after the fact. So it's already too late. So no one really knows what went on or what was going on in there. Um, so to think that some of those that the majority of that area was unexplored or didn't have people around it, like that's just really that's crazy. I mean, and to think people were just getting their head chopped off. I don't know around that time frame if, and I don't know the autopsies of the bodies. Were they like clean cuts or were they like ripped off or were they like sawed off? I mean, I guess that would probably give you more of an idea of the kind of thing that did that to them, I guess. But I don't think I can imagine walking into that and seeing that and hearing stories about that. Like if I heard stories about that shit, I'm gone. Psh, not even worrying about it. Because there's just certain things that you just don't want to find answers to, and that seems like it would be one of them. The creepiest things are the woods and the dark, the thickness, not being able to see in those kind of areas, and it would really make you not want to do those things. So it'd be really weird, but it is very interesting though to think all these people just this all just happened and everybody just kind of threw it under the radar like, hey, yeah, cool, whatever. Everybody was just trying to make money though. I mean, I guess that's the same concept nowadays. Everybody's always trying to make money. You know, they're always trying to get better or do better or try and figure things out or they're always chasing something, some sort of goal. So I guess for most people, if it doesn't directly affect you, maybe it's not happening or it's not real. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know the way people's minds think, but that's the way I would think it would work. Is well, I still got my head, so I guess I'm gonna keep looking for gold because that's what we came here for. And regardless, if you put everything into wanting to make it on finding gold, and you hear about Joe Schmo 2 miles away who found 5 pounds of gold, then you're just gonna stay out there regardless of the situation around you or the area. So just don't piss people off, I guess. Don't piss people off; they won't chop your head off. If you're not in areas you're not supposed to be, then you won't get your head chopped off. Um, And if you don't explore areas you're not supposed to explore, because you're always looking for the next spot or the best land, and that Yukon area, the upper UP and everything like that, that's some hard terrain to be around. That's some hard terrain to be in. So you better be ready for and prepared for those kinds of things, for the worst case scenarios, not best case scenarios. So, but yeah, other than that, that's about it. I mean, going over the spy planes or the UFOs that are going on in the real world right now today is a huge subject right now in the news. And the other one is underground bases that are basically doing experiments on humans in New Mexico, which is kind of close to Area 51. So I guess that's kind of a huge story and everything like that. And then this one, where people were mysteriously getting beheaded in a gold miners area, I thought was pretty crazy. There's quite a bit of other stories and stuff, like kind of about these things. So we'll just kind of, play it by ear and see what we want to talk about next week. We're about 45 minutes, so I guess that's pretty good. But for the majority of all this, like, this is the kind of stuff that I want to talk about. Like, it's just a hodgepodge of stuff. It's not particularly like, hey, you're talking about one thing or the other. I mean, it's everybody likes like murder, mystery, like those kind of like, oh shit, like what did this happen or could it have happened and stuff. I mean, and those are the things that intrigue me the most, and it always comes back to that same thing. Like, are all of these things happening, or are people in situations or in areas to? Because everything can easily be explained. I mean, well, not easily be explained, but you can formulate enough opinions to put it away and be like, hey, like this is not what happened. Like underground base, you could be like, hey, no, this dude was a whack job and he was just out of his mind and maybe had something significant happen previously before that made him think of all these things. Easy to explain. All these people getting beheaded, you're going into a place you don't know anything about. And either you piss somebody off or something happens to where the biggest one for me is maybe you piss somebody off and this is what they were doing. And then one person heard about it, and then they're like, all right, well, this dude pisses me off. I'm chopping his head off. So, and then it creates more of a backstory, more of like a mystery, more of, hey, this is like, is this like demonic? Is it cryptic? Like, what is it? And all this stuff. So, I mean, and with these spy planes or spy balloons, whatever you want to call them, I mean, somebody's trying to look for something. But in my opinion is, the internet will tell you everything. The majority of everything. Google Maps will show you everything. Like, so it just seems very uncommonplace to be like, hey, this is what's going on. So it's gonna be interesting over the next couple months, and I'll timestamp this one too as well. This episode to be like, hey, like in a year, if when I'm still doing this, not if I'm when I'm doing this, when I'm be like, I wonder whatever happened with those spy balloons, you know. And it'd be interesting to see if nothing came of that. They didn't find anything. They didn't recover any evidence to see what was on it and stuff. So it'd be very interesting. But other than that, I mean, that's about it, guys. It's Friday. Um, I hope everybody has a great weekend. And again, I appreciate everybody tuning in and listening. You guys are killing it. Even if you listen for 30 seconds, you listen for a minute, it doesn't make a difference. Everything helps, and it helps the algorithm. So I just do this for fun. It's just something to do interesting on once a week and just kind of just talk about the shit going on in the world and bring up some other things that don't get talked about in the world. But other than that, I appreciate you guys tuning in and listening, and I will see you guys on the next one. Talk to you later.